Hey, what's going on, guys? Eddie Martin here. Little surprise Home of the Hustle episode. Brian Hess is not going to be making it tonight, so I'm going to have my guest, my good buddy Bruce Pulver, on here. You guys are going to love this guy, so when you get in here, share this thing out. There's going to be huge value coming at you tonight. So I'm going to give this a second, let it build up, let it get out there, because I'm not seeing nobody hopping in here yet. All right, Scott Sparrow's in here. Driven, baby. Copy this link, get my share on. What's up, guys? Thanks for joining us tonight. How you doing, Jake? We were trying to do this. What's up, Bruce? All right, I'm gonna add you in right now, man. We're trying to do this thing through the Be Live, but it didn't like us. It didn't like us. Hey, share this out. Bruce is hopping on here. All right, Bruce, you should have a notification on your phone requesting you to be added. When you hop in here, we'll get started. Hope everybody had a good day. Hey, a lot of cool stuff going on here at the Hustle. So keep your eye out on it. If you haven't gone and liked the Instagram page yet, please go do that. I'm asking people if they don't mind, right? If you don't mind, go to the Home of the Hustle page. There's some little dots up in the corner. And in the corner, you're going to hit invite friends. And then it'll allow you to invite all your friends. Invite all your friends. Bring them on down. Bruce is not responding, so I think it might not be sending it to him. So I'm going to cancel this, and then I am going to do it again. So I know you're there, Bruce. It's probably just Facebook acting funny. Why can't I bring Bruce on camera? Apologies. It's not letting me bring you on camera, man. I don't know. I've never seen this before. Hey, Bruce, hop off of this live and hop back in and see if that does something. Facebook might be doing some updates, and that's causing us a little bit of dilemma. What's up, Lionel? All right, Bruce is back. Let's try this again. All right, it says it's adding you now, man. Make sure your phone's sideways. I know you said it was. Connecting. Here we go. I like that sign. How you doing, man?
Hey, good. Hey, Eddie. How you doing?
I'm great. Appreciate you hopping in here with me.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. No, this is going to be great. I know that there's quite a few people within the network that probably don't know you. Probably haven't seen your book, right? Oh. Phone fail. Make this thing stick. There we go. All right, sorry about that. We were going to do this thing on the computer, and they didn't like us. The camera didn't like us, so that's the first camera that didn't like us.
Oh, not for me. Most of them don't.
That's great. So real quick background how I met Bruce. All right, so if you guys are familiar with my friend Tammy Kling, she's been a friend of the Hustle for a while now. She's been on the show a handful of times. We've done some extended specials with her. I was invited to Tammy's event last year, The Conversation, which is basically like an invite-only mastermind that is in the woods behind Tammy's house. So you never know who you're going to meet. There's millionaires, billionaires there. There's people that were homeless there. There's people that are struggling. There's people that are making it. And you don't know who's who or where anybody is at. And everybody is masterminding and talking about things that actually matter in everybody's life universally, not just things that apply to somebody in business or things that apply to somebody, in a personal, like relationships and whatnot. And I met Bruce there, and Bruce and I hit it off, and we've been connected through Facebook ever since. He gave me his book, which is probably the coolest and most unique book I've ever seen before. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. And get you guys more acquainted with Bruce. So thanks for jumping in, man. If you want to give the folks a real quick, rundown of who you are, we'll get into the book and all that. just give folks just a quick rundown. Hey, if you haven't shared this out, be sure to do that right now because it's about to get started.
Yeah, sure, Eddie. So again, thanks for having me on. And so I'm in Atlanta based, married, 2 kids. Been working the grind for, a lot of years, primarily in the healthcare technology business. And that's pretty much been my mainstream career. And about, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, went through a transition, like a lot of us do, right? One day everything's great, and the next day you're in a meeting with HR that you didn't expect because they're downsizing your company or they're making some organizational changes. And, during that process, I woke up one morning after a couple of days, I guess, and realized I had to take care of business as best I could, take care of my family, just like we all do. And started journaling by one word that came to my mind that morning, and it was, Bruce, today you've got to be strong. And I really didn't know what that meant, but I got up immediately and wrote that word down vertically. And then I used the letters of the word to define what strong meant for me. And it's on the cover of the book, and basically it stood for stand tall, remain optimistic, now go for it. So those letters sort of activated that word for me. Fast forward 400 consecutive mornings, a word came to me in that same sort of structure and virtually within a minute's time. So I journaled these every day. I started sharing them with friends. They helped me become strong. They helped me have, like, day 2 was awesome. And awesome was a wonderful experience, shall overwhelm my expectations. So I went out that day and looked for something that I could call awesome. And it didn't matter what it was. It might have been, 4 green lights in a row as I'm heading through traffic, right? It was something to trigger a positive side of what was going on and help me face it that way. So fast forward even further, it ended up being a journal. I texted these things to friends. The network started growing. And then I was connected with our colleague, Tammy, and I sent her the manuscript, and we connected virtually immediately and started working on a book together. Which above the chatter, our words matter. So the whole premise is, there's a lot of noise going on. We're constantly dealing with stuff, whether it's the grind, whether it's, the negative side of things, whether it's, just challenges we're facing. And what I've learned through this whole process, in my experience, is that how I talk to myself initially really impacts how things are going to develop, whether it's that day, that project, that launch, that relationship, whatever. And I just feel like how we speak to ourselves has such a dramatic impact on our outcomes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. I think that when we hear our words matter, right? When we hear our words matter, the first thing, at least that comes to my mind, is how we speak to others, how we communicate with other people. But our words matter, and it starts with the words that we tell ourselves and what those words mean. And I find it's really fascinating that you took that to another level. So what do these words mean to me? Okay, conceptually, this is what they mean, but what do they mean if I break them down? How can I solidify what that word means to me in more words, right? And deeper meaning. I find it extremely fascinating because we miss the boat when we talk about words and we forget how much they matter to us and the words that we're saying to ourselves.
Yeah, in this whole process, one of the things I learned, obviously it was sort of picking myself up by the bootstraps, right? It was something that I needed. So it was mental nutrition for me. However, as I started sharing these out, and the feedback I was getting was incredible. I mean, there's some really close friends. There's some friends that I had just reconnected with. I'll give you one example. There's a dear friend of mine who's a pediatric cardiac surgeon in Florida. So basically, he's working every day on hearts the size of walnuts, okay? And so he was on my list. I'd be texting these things out just because he's a buddy. And there'd be times at 6 o'clock in the morning, he'd text me back and say, maybe I sent him the word clarity. He said, I needed that because I'm going in, I was scrubbing, 10 minutes later, I went in to perform this procedure. And so that helped me understand how much words matter to other people too, as we speak them or write them or project them in any way.
And you never know how those words are going to hit somebody. So being kind of conscious of the words that you use and how you use those words can have a tremendous impact on somebody. I mean, who if you said, hey, one word can change the trajectory of your life, people might say that's insane, but for you, it was definitely the case.
You know, and again, to me, and I definitely need to be clear about this, this writing was a gift. It just freaked me out on day one, really freaked me out about day 5 when they kept coming, if that makes sense, right? I mean, it's like, okay, this is a gift, and I've tried my best to serve it well in the book. One of the things that we do with the book, one of my main goals with the book is every time a book is purchased, I make a donation of a book to an organization that has a pure mission of helping others. Real simple for me, being in the healthcare business, I'm in hospitals all the time. So I try to find the family center, the reading room, you know, the chaplain, wherever there's an opportunity, and I always have books with me. And so my goal this year is to put a book in every children's hospital in the country. And so we're well on our way to doing that with a program I just launched where I'm looking for folks, if they'll buy 10 books, I'll donate 10 books to the hospital of their choice. And I've got the list of, there's 220 children's hospitals in the country. So that started about a week ago, and we're well on our way there.
Well, let's see what we can do about that. So there's 15 people on this live stream right now. How much is a book?
In the book on my website is $12.99.
$12.99. Okay. 15 people can go buy a book right now for $12.99. And a book is going to go to somebody who needs it. I don't expect anybody to be able, or everybody, maybe some of you can, and if you can, you know, we appreciate that. Go to his website and buy 10 books so he can help get into all of these children's hospitals. That is a great mission, and anything that we can do to help support that, we're in 100%. So
thank you.
What's the website real quick? So
the website is very simply is the book's name. Above the Chatter, ourwordsmatter.com. Okay,
awesome. Above the Chatter, ourwordsmatter.com. Please, somebody type that into the message at the bottom so that everybody can get that, and we can go and help Bruce with this goal that he's trying to do.
Right. Thus far, just in general giving, it's been such a joy, not just with hospitals, but veterans assistance groups, homeless shelters, you know, drug and alcohol rehabilitation centers. I just try to find places where, you know, I can do that. We've been able to give 1,500 books away so far. So I'm just ecstatic about that. And it's just starting. I mean, orphanages in Haiti, I just, you know, I don't want to talk, you know, too much about where all that's going, but it's just part of the gift and part of the process. So, like I said, it was a gift to me.
I'm going to type this into the comments here so everybody knows. And then what I'm going to do is let's talk a little bit about the book and how unique of a book that it is. You can just open to a page and pick a word, right? That's just sitting there. So here's one. All right. So I just opened the book at random. Stuck. The word stuck. Okay. So stuck. Ever feel stuck with where you are in life? Try this. S, start and commit to a new activity. T, treat yourself as number one for 30 minutes every day. U, unplug the unproductive routines, replace them with productive ones. C, challenge yourself to make small, steady changes. K, keep track of progress and never give up. If you're going through your day and you're like, what in the heck am I doing? Like, I'm feeling down. I don't know which direction to go. Like, I wish somebody could help me. Just open the book. Just open the book and read a word, and it can have a great impact on your day. So touch on that a little bit, on maybe what some people have been getting out of the book, the feedback from the structure and the style. And I'm going to type the website in.
Yeah, sure. So great. You know, the feedback has varied, and you know, some folks say, you know, it's on my nightstand, and you know, I get up in the morning and I flip to a page, Eddie, just like you did. I had one dear friend reach out to me, and I think it's okay to say this, right? She came up to me after a company dinner, and none of us really knew. And she said to me, Bruce, I've been going through chemo for the last 6 weeks, and I don't think I could have made.
Oh, Bruce froze up on us. Give him a second. Maybe that Atlanta Wi-Fi.
I've talked to a lot of folks, so I went through the job change thing, right? Actually, the fun part about this, because I think it's all about your attitude sometimes, is I've gone through 3 of these reduction in force situations. So I guess I'm old enough, maybe, Eddie, to be retired, but I have a new term for it. It's called riff tired. So I've been riff tired 3 times. But I've also had the opportunity to speak to some job search network organizations with groups that are going through the same thing. And the ability for these words to sort of transcend and relate to others has just been, incredible for me.
Yeah, that's incredible. That your story and everything that you're doing with this, it's just amazing to me. Are you still like waking up every day and you still routine through this the same way, or?
Not every single day, but I've probably written, I don't know, another 250, maybe 300 verses that are stuck in my file for book 2 or for another purpose. But yeah, so I do them a lot, professionally now too, work related. Some companies and organizations have reached out and said, hey, we're doing employee training, we're doing some sales training, and we'd like to incorporate, the power of words and how they can really help drive our outcomes. Because my whole belief is that words control our thoughts, and then our thoughts direct our beliefs, our intentions, our actions, and then ultimately our outcomes. So for me, it had to be simple. It had to be a single word. I love phrases. I love a lot of quotes, motivational quotes, but it seemed to just land well with me for a single word.
Yeah, and it's like nothing that I've ever seen before. What a perfect like relationship or marriage between your mission and what you're doing and the calling. Really, it's a calling. With your book, what's up, Martin Matthews, and then pairing up with Tammy, whose entire brand is about how much your words matter. I mean, how perfect is that? You have this almost spiritual awakening and guided hand to do this, and then that manuscript ends up in the hands of somebody who has the same beliefs in the power of words. Like, it's incredible.
It is and continues to be life-changing. I call it another cut of the diamond of life. I mean, it's a side of life that emerged out of this whole process. So yeah. So I guess I can maybe take it back even earlier. There's a part of the book that I share. I'm very, very fortunate, was very blessed that I had 2 parents that were all in with my brother and I, and it all started with really a medical trauma on the day that I was born. My mother had, during labor, what's called a dissecting aortic aneurysm, which I mentioned in the book. There were 72 cases of that prior to her, none of which lived more than 72 hours after the event. So she lived till I was 22. There were surgeons at Yale New Haven Medical Center that were visiting from Tulane. They were brought over and they were experimenting with heart valve replacement. So everything lined up. I don't call it random. So I was blessed to have an incredibly positive role model, both for my mother and my father, who believed every day was a blessing. So my dad was a nutcase about words and did crossword puzzles and wrote plays and all that. So one of the messages in the book that I quoted from Mark Twain is the 2 most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you realize why. And I think when these messages started coming together and I was able to fuse, the positivity of my mother and sort of the focus on the word skills that my father had, it sort of answered question 2 for me.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite quotes in general right there, is that Mark Twain quote. That's funny that you bring that up. Real quick, guys that are just jumping in here, this is my buddy Bruce Pulver. He's an author, he's a speaker, he's a great man, and he's giving back with what he's doing with his book, and I would like your guys' support. So there's a link at the bottom. If you buy 10 books, Bruce is giving 10 books to a children's shelter. Or I'm sorry, a children's hospital, not shelter, children's hospital. If you can't buy 10, just buy one. It's like the coolest concept of a book that I've ever seen, and the purpose behind it is even greater than the concept. So please, go buy some books. Share it out. If you can't go buy a book, I get it. I've been at the point where I couldn't rub two nickels together. You can't go buy a book when you can do that, but you can share, because there is somebody else out there that needs this. And your share could do that. You just never know. So real quick, let's talk a little bit about, you've been speaking, right? You've been getting on stages and doing that, correct?
Yeah, that door's been opening, and it's been amazing. So I've done, it continues to grow. It's always a journey to find a way to connect and engage your story, right? So it's been amazing, because I've been invited to do some conference speaking in my industry. I've been able to do some speaking in some, like I said, some job search workshops where I spent a good amount of my time going through some changes as well. And Tammy is actually invited me to be on her world's largest book club in June. So I'm very, very excited about that. And I've done a couple of TV spots too, where we're talking about the power of words, and the impact is incredible. One other area that I think, for anybody who has kids out there, we've been blessed with two daughters. My oldest is 20, my youngest is 17. And I focus a chapter in the book called Unique, which is spelled YOUNIQUE. And it's a chapter to celebrate the uniqueness of everyone. But I've found it useful in just having conversations with, especially teenagers, teenage girls, teenage boys, where everything's changing, and the comparison out there is incredibly powerful in self-esteem. And so that whole chapter is about celebrating the uniqueness as opposed to comparing it. So I think just that chapter, but generally speaking, our conversations with young people has a real trigger impact on how, what they think of themselves, what they think they can do, and all. So anytime we can offer a positive word to kids, we need to take advantage of it.
You know what I find very interesting is how some of the things that we do, right? I do it through social media, right? I do this, I vent things that are on my mind or things that are troubling me for me, right? I share my struggles and I share my wins, and I do that for me first. And it has an effect on other people. But because I'm willing to share all the parts of me, it puts other people in a position to be able to have my struggles help impact them. And it's across the board with all these things. Like this was written for you. This was created for you. And the impact of it is now affecting globally.
You're right on. The impact that a single word can have on a life is incredible. And yeah, it started with me, but at the same time, it's so important to just pay attention and listen. I think that's probably another key aspect of this is everybody has something going on in their life, and I call it BAM moments, or just little bumps in the road that I sort of kiddingly call them now stepping stones as opposed to stumbling blocks. But you never really know what someone's going through, and that's something to just pay attention to. I think sometimes before we speak, right, try to figure out what can we do to elevate.
Something that you talk about in the book is about reframing the way that what that word means to you. Can we touch on that a little bit? Like, what is the power of taking a word that has like you just said, stumbling blocks versus however else you said it, right?
Stepping stones
versus stumbling blocks. Like what is the power in reframing these common words and common phrases that we tell ourselves every day and changing the meaning of them? Like, let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I think a lot of that is around circumstances. So everybody has a plan till you get punched in the mouth, right? Mike Tyson. So there's certain things that are going to occur in our life that we have a decision to make, or we can make a decision about how we interpret that, okay? And how we move forward and deal with it. And so in my experience, I've always found that I've had a better outcome when I look at something that could have been, a major, downer, whether it's, loss of a parent, loss of jobs, diagnoses, those kinds of things, and said, okay, there's not a whole lot I can do about that, but what I can do is control how I react and respond and deal. So it's almost like, and sometimes I get a little frustrated because it's this habit, but sometimes it's, Bruce, don't focus on what you can't do, focus on what you are able to do in the moment. And so reframing often to me relates to the situation that I'm in, right? Or maybe even reframing the direction. Am I trying to go through a wall, or might it be better to step back and figure out, do I go around it, over it, under it, or maybe just turn around and go in a different direction? So reframing to me is sometimes even just taking a pause in the moment and say, hey, I'm smart enough, right? We all have experiences from which to draw, and our gut and our instinct is usually right. So is there a way we can look at a situation and make the most of it? And I think that's probably from, having parents who were forced to do that, as they, came out of the medical situation and kind of had to restart their whole family financially, health-wise, and everything.
Yeah, I think it's kind of one of those things that when you start to live life, and here's the phrase this is how I reframe things, is things happen for me, not to me. They happen because of me, not to me. So if everything that is occurring and going on, I'm in control of, right? Either I caused it or I'm in control of how I react to it. And I have control over my emotional intelligence, right? I have emotions and I utilize my emotions accurately. If I don't allow my emotions to get the best of me, then I can take a step back from that scenario, reframe the way that it's making me, react emotionally, and then be able to tap in and access the intuition, right? That gut feeling is the feeling, but it's the truth, but it's hard to get to it when it's saturated with, negative emotion.
And this process is what helped me understand that, because I think what we're saying sounds pretty easy, but in the moment, it really isn't, because it's a habit that I had to develop to sort of move away from the thought of a victim, or a thought of why did this happen, like you said, to me, to being sort of an active thinker of that process. And it's not an overnight thing, and it's not a switch that stays on all the time. I'll be honest, completely honest with you there. It's always presenting itself as an opportunity to reframe, to talk about how I'm going to respond, versus falling back into potentially a habit of the downward spiral. And it's not easy. Well, I'm not going to ever say that it is.
It's not easy. It's not easy at all. I think that it requires a conscious effort to be as self-aware as you possibly can, right? If I know myself to a certain degree, then I know, and I'm paying attention to it, then when these things do happen, hopefully I can catch them before the reaction happens. But you're not always gonna, right? Like, I am emotionally intelligent when it comes to these things, but I have immediate triggers where all of it goes out the door and it's just ruthlessness and unnecessary. And then, you know, after the smoke clears, you're like, crap, I did it again. Like, it happened again. But
Yeah.
but I should be smart enough to catch that. There's a story about Benjamin Franklin. And Benjamin Franklin, when he went overseas, to be a writer, to write overseas. I don't know the whole story in super detail, but he thought that he was an a socially intelligent individual. And he kept making these partnerships and dealing with people over and over again that weren't out for his best interest. They were out to capitalize off of him. And he did it over and over and over again until he realized, like, wait, I am not as socially intelligent as I think I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to take a step back and figure out, what are these things? What am I missing? And before I act, I need to think, right? Don't just react to the environment. Stop and think about it. And I think the same goes for self-awareness, which will help you with, what we're talking about today. What would you say is one word in here that if somebody, like right now, they don't have $1 to go buy your book, they need some uplifting words, they need to have a structure and a system and somewhere to start, right? What is one word in here, and how is the breakdown that you broke it down, that you would say to everybody on here that if they didn't take anything else away from this live that we did tonight, this is what they got? So when they wake up in the morning, boom, that's what comes in their head. What would that word be?
Well, you put me on the spot, but let me pick one that jumps right into my mind, because I think that's the way to go. So the first word in chapter 1 is actually a phrase. And I talk a little bit about it with, raising our kids and just trying things new. So whether it's new or whether it's a struggle, that phrase is the word, yes, I can. I think if you start anything, whether it's a new venture, whether it's trying to get unstuck, whether it's just trying to make it to tomorrow, one phrase that helped me is the words, yes, I can. And yes, I can, I wrote as, you expect success in challenging activities now. Doesn't explain how, it doesn't give you a roadmap, but it sets your mind to telling yourself that there is success out here. I expect it. The situation will be challenging, but I'm setting myself in the right direction, because I think we move in the direction of our words and our thoughts. And so starting with just a yes, I can. I'll give you a simple example. And for me, it was being convinced to train for a race to run, and I'm not a runner. My daughter convinced me to run a race with her. So I put the shoes on, I got to the end of the driveway to start training. I said, well, how am I going to do this? And I just said, yes, I can. And I looked for the next mailbox in front of me, which was 60 feet. And I said, if I can get to that mailbox, then I can get maybe to another mailbox. And incrementally, I just tried to do that. So by saying, yes, I can, without any idea of how, I think is something to take away from today. That helps you build belief. It helps you build just moving in the right direction and taking the first step.
Yeah, I love that. Yes, I can promotes action, and action cures everything.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a start. Yeah.
It's the start, man. It's the start of everything. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, right?
Yeah, and I love all of those great inspirational things. For me, I'm just really simple, and it came down to one word a day. And, it was three. Yes, I can. It was 3. But I mean, just, one other one be the word push. So what does that really mean, to push yourself, right? It could mean anything. It could, right? But I broke it down to put up some hard work. Push, P-U-S-H. So that's what it meant to me. So.
I love that. I love that. Well, we try to keep these at 30 minutes. So I know they disappear fast. The time flies when you're on these things. give Bruce some props here. He's never done a Facebook Live. It's the first time he's been on. We're honored to have him on The Hustle on his first time on, and you did great. You did great. It's funny, sometimes you just never know when somebody hasn't been staring and talking to themselves in a camera before in the cell phone, what you're going to get. And you were fantastic, and I really, really appreciate you coming on here. I hope everybody enjoyed all the value that you shared and your story. And I'm really hoping that when you go check on your page to see how many books have sold by the end of the night tonight, that there's at least a handful of books that got sold from the community here that we've built, that we're a part of, that we're members of, and that they're supporting what you're trying to do for people and for children. I got a couple of real soft spots in my heart, man. One's for kids, one's for abused women, and the other one is for animals. So anybody that is going in the direction of helping any one of those groups, like I'm all for it, and I support you guys and everything that you're doing. So what's next? I mean, I don't know, we're going to wrap it up, but what's next for you, on the journey, on the path?
Yeah. So, I don't see the journey changing. The direction's going to stay the same, Eddie. But I see taking advantage of every opportunity I have to continue to share the message, whether that's public speaking, whether it's one-on-one coaching. We've been doing some of that. Any way that I can help, and the book, sustaining itself through corporate purchases and that sort of thing allows me to just continue the process. So I'm hoping that if we get a chance to do this again, that I'll be able to report out some other great developments. But hey, before we leave, can I leave you with a word for the hustle?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I thinking about being on your program, and thank you for the energy that you give and the just the positivity and the level that you have is so admirable. I'm inspired every time I even get on a Facebook Live and watch yours. So I did a little thing for hustle for you, Eddie. So why don't we start? So the H, hustle, high standards for all. The U, unstoppable determination. The T, transparent and authentic. The L, lets the effort do the talking. And the E for hustle is excels at excelling. So Eddie, thank you for having me on the show, your program today, and the comments and the opportunity to share my story. I sincerely appreciate it, and it was an honor.
The honor's all mine, man. I appreciate you hopping on here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. I should be there in June at the World's Largest Book Club thing, and then as well as at the conversation.
Oh, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. So, all right, I appreciate you, Bruce. We're going to do this again real soon.
Anytime. Thanks, everybody. Make it a great week.
Take it easy, man.
All right.
So that was awesome. Bruce is a great guy. I hope you guys got a lot of value out of that. I really would appreciate it if you guys could buy a couple of his books. I mean, we don't really sell shit on The Hustle, but, folks that come on, they got stuff to sell, right? So check us out tomorrow. It's the 1-year anniversary of Home of the Hustle. The 1-year anniversary of The Hustle is tomorrow. So the folks who started it, me, Frank, and Jason, we're going to be live tomorrow on Home of the Hustle as an anniversary special edition episode. And then Friday, we got Freedom Fridays with Justin Myers. And then Kim Goodman's going to be on Sunday. And then we wrap it all back around with the Titan on Mondays, and I'll be back in my proper spot on Tuesdays. Like we always say, we're a part of a community. We are a community. We're a family where we do this together. So Martin Matthews right now is live. Nah, he didn't misspell hustle, man. He just forgot the S. He sent it to me. It's good. The S is in there. It's not huddle. But Martin Matthews is live right now with Matt Monero. Matt Monero is a client of Lightspeed. He's a good friend of The Hustle. He's friends, and Martin's good people. So go over to Martin Matthews' page. Hey, if this is new, if you're new to The Hustle and you haven't been on here, be sure to like the page. Invite your friends to like the page. We have goals. We want to keep bringing value to you guys, and the more people that follow the page, the more value and the more impact we can have. So Have a fantastic night. I appreciate every last one of you, and I hope you picked up his book. Take it easy.